Howdy sports fans, you good? Good? That's great. Look, just before I hand the mic over to Daryl, I just want to clarify something. So I know that Triple Jump have recently done a video what is pretty much exactly like this, but here's the thing. Our written version actually came out in September, so who's copying who, eh? Also, this is the second time that we've had to change things because of Triple Jump doing a video first. The first was when I had the bright idea of playing the PS4 launch games in 2020. 2020, that's important here. But the thing is, as I was buying all of the games to try and put the video together, they had started doing their own series of playing X games in 2020. So I ended up spending £150 to £200 on games that are now pretty much pointless to me. What am I going to do with a physical copy of Angry Birds Star Wars? This thing cost £2 on the iOS store. What am I going to do with all these Skylanders? I don't know. What are they for now? I don't understand. I just meant, do I put them in my fridge? What do I do with them? So I just thought I'd clarify that ahead of time before I pass over to Daryl. And Triple Jump, please stop sending vans to stand outside our house. Thank you.
The gaming industry unfortunately seems to have moved away from the world of relentless movie tie-ins, where it didn't matter what a film was about, as some developer somewhere could find a way of turning it into a video game. Sure, most of them were a bit crap, but there's a golden few games that managed to actually be pretty good to play. Better still, some movie tie-in games were actually better than the films they were based on. While there are a good chunk of great movie tie-in games out there, like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World the Game, GoldenEye, Spider-Man 2, or Toy Story 3, one of these things is not like the others. The films they were based on were also fantastic, so don't be surprised that they're not appearing on this list. However, we've managed to compile a list of 10 games that went above and beyond the source material, which have been ranked in no particular order. I'm Daryl for Cultured Vultures, and here's 10 movie tie-in games that are better than the movies themselves. Catwoman didn't make it, sorry! The Warriors. Alright, look, listen. The Warriors is one of our favourite films ever, so this isn't to say that the film is bad. It's an absolute classic that still holds up today, but Rockstar's 3D brawler from 2005 is just that little bit better. In fact, it's hard to call The Warriors just a simple tie-in, as it feels like a genuine accompaniment to the plot of the original film. Only about 25% of the main story covers the film's plot, with the rest dedicated to the Warriors establishing themselves as a worthy gang in New York's seedy underworld. The action of the Warriors feels like a massive street brawl, but in the best possible way, with players able to batter goons with their fists whatever they can find lying around on the floor. While the gameplay is stellar, the Warriors' true value comes with the fact that it explores a world that the film barely scratches the surface of. The film hints at the various gangs that occupy New York, but the Warriors game gives a more in-depth insight into New York's vibrant population, growing an already interesting world and characters even further. World War Z. Say what you will about the quality of the World War Z film, which many have over the years. It was a decent zombie thriller at least, but if nothing else, the film spawned the release of a great co-op shooter that's become something of a hit for Saber Interactive. With multiple DLC releases and even a next-gen re-release coming soon at the time of recording, there's going to be more World War Z in the future too. Instead of one main character like the film, the game takes its cue from the excellent World War Z novel, with you and up to 3 other players controlling different characters across the world, trying to survive waves of infected looking to make your life a living hell. The game might take a few liberties with the infected themselves, considering the heaps of special infected you can encounter, but there's more fun to be had here than with the film, that is for certain. For one, the game doesn't stand still for a minute to watch Brad Pitt chunder down a Pepsi in the most obvious bit of product placement this side of the apocalypse. Fuck's sake, what was that about? The Matrix, Path of Neo. Alright, we've become a stan website for The Matrix, Path of Neo, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. While the first Matrix film is practically a masterpiece of cinema, the other 2 films leave something to be desired. The Matrix Path of Neo expands on the series, putting players in the shoes of the One, reenacting the prophesized hero's journey through the original trilogy. Playing as Neo, you'll experience the events of the first 3 films, with only some additions and changes here and there. The training programs are a bit more in-depth, while sections with the Merovingian are longer and weirder, which might not be for everyone. Still, Path of Neo improves massively on the films it's based on by scrapping the trilogy's ending entirely in favour of a weird boss fight against a giant mecha Agent Smith. It's amazing how deep the rabbit hole goes. The Punisher. While less of a tie-in and more of a licensed game, The Punisher was still somewhat related to the world of the film as it used the same font, the same version of the Punisher logo, and even brought lead actor Thomas Jane back to reprise his role of Frank Castle. While the film itself is a corny action flick that's entertaining in a B-movie sort of way, worth watching for John Travolta hamming it up alone, the Punisher game from Volition leans a lot harder into the edge of the Punisher as a character, which is arguably even more entertaining. Set in New York, as opposed to the film's West Coast setting, Frank is already years into his role as the Punisher, which lines him up in the crosshairs of various criminal factions that call New York their home, including the Nutchy crime family, the Russian Mafia, and the Triad. As the Punisher is a comic book property, all the action is turned up to 11, with noted characters like Iron Man, Black Widow, Nick Fury, and more turning up along the way. Ghost Rider. According to the script for this video, the Ghost Rider movie is a bit naff. However, as someone who runs a certain Nicolas Cage podcast, I will not air my own opinion and simply read out these words on this page, lest my rage puts my head on fire. According to the writer of this script, the performances are weird, the plot's not great, and while the special effects look nice, it's a far cry from the pinnacle that Marvel movies have now achieved in recent years. It's a shame though, as the Ghost Rider game deserved all the love and attention instead. Admittedly, Ghost Rider is a pretty sloppy copy of other action games of its ilk that were released around the same time, more specifically Devil May Cry and God of War. Players controlling Ghost Rider would perform huge combos, earning style points for doing so, and would spend basically 6 to 8 hours killing demons. It's not great, but fun combos are always more enjoyable than a naff movie. Plus, Blade was an unlockable character, making Ghost Rider potentially the best Blade game ever made. The Room Tribute. Alright, I'm stretching the limits here on what constitutes a tie-in, considering that Flash games from Newgrounds are hardly official releases, but my god, The Room the Game, or The Room Tribute, is such a brilliant take on one of the most infamous so bad it's good movies out there. The Disaster Artist is a brilliant insight into the production of The Room, but if you want to see someone's take on the actual film's unresolved plot points, The Room Tribute is unmatched. A point-and-click adventure game, players experience the events of The Room purely from the perspective of Tommy Wiseau. Johnny. Such a good actor. Anyway, The Room Tribute includes new content like Johnny working at the bank, the news that San Francisco was hit by an earthquake, or if you collect all of the spoons lying around, you'll experience the revelation that Johnny is actually an alien sent to study human culture. Clearly, the research has been working. Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, and Assault on Dark Athena. Largely lauded as one of the best games related to a movie property, Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay redefined the first-person stealth action genre on the original Xbox. Playing as Vin Diesel's iconic character, you're trying to escape in an inescapable prison using your strength, superior stealth, and hunting abilities and more than just a little bit of wheel greasing in order to do so. While Escape from Butcher Bay is brilliant in its own right, Assault on Dark Athena is even better as it remasters the original game's campaign with updated graphics and animations. On top of that, the game includes a new campaign that sees Riddick stealth killing guards on a spaceship instead of a prison. A change as good as a break, I guess. Ratchet and Clank. A game based on a movie, based on a game, is a bit of a head scratcher to come to terms with. The only other game that springs to mind aside from this one is Street Fighter the movie, the game, though it's a bit of a toss-up on whether or not the movie or the game is actually the worst of two evils. However, at least in the case of 2016's Ratchet and Clank, the clear winner is obvious. It's the game. The game wins. Half a movie tie-in and half a soft reboot for Ratchet and Clank as a whole, the game sees the iconic duo teaming together for the first time. Again. Along the way, the two will join the Galactic Rangers, travel across multiple planets, and save the universe in the process. The story is not exactly stellar, with a general feeling that some bits are missing in the middle, but the gameplay is up there with Insomniac's best. Alien Resurrection. Whether or not certain Alien films are good or not is a contentious subject at the best of times, so we're not wading into that right now, but it's pretty safe to say that Alien Resurrection isn't the most fondly remembered film in the franchise. Just any kind of positive legacy would make the Alien Resurrection game better than the film it's a tie-in of, and fortunately the PS1 game from 2000 certainly clears that low bar. In fact, it clears the bar by a wide margin, as it's now considered one of the founding fathers of the FPS genre. Alien Resurrection revolutionised the genre by using 2 sticks instead of 1, with the left stick controlling movement while the right stick controlled aiming. With our modern sensibilities, those controls don't sound all that revolutionary, but back in the year 2000, it was mind-blowing enough for GameSpot to call Alien Resurrection's controls its most terrifying aspect. And then Halo launched a year later and the rest is history, with its main character, Jonathan Cornelius Halo, going on to become one of the greatest characters in gaming history. Peter Jackson's King Kong. A remake of one of the most celebrated films in history, Peter Jackson's version of King Kong certainly had a lot to live up to. Whether or not you think it lived up to those expectations is for you to decide, though we can all agree that Big Monkey Climb Big Building didn't need to be 3 hours long, but the game is another bag entirely. Turning the story of love and giant monkeys into a first-person shooter with occasional monkey platforming is certainly one of the more enjoyable yet sillier movie tie-ins you can get your hands on. Spending most of your time playing as Adrian Brody's character Jack, you'll explore Skull Island and do battle with the island's various lethal residents. In between, and honestly not as much as you should for a game with him on the box, you'll play as King Kong as he batters some of the bigger creatures until you end up in New York throwing cars at people. In one of the oddest choices in tie-in game history, you can even change the classic ending so that King Kong returns to Skull Island, alive and dominant. It's daft, but it was an easy 1000G on Xbox 360. You can't say that about the movie. And there you have it, that is our list. 10 movie tie-in games that were better than the movie. Did you agree? Did you disagree? Sign off in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap that notification bell. It's all very greatly appreciated and it helps the channel grow. Also consider checking out the social medias on screen now, as well as our website, culturedvultures.com, for even more content. Between all of that, hopefully we will catch you in the next video. But until then, caw.